Meanwhile, elsewhere, the Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry, has agreed to resign and make way for a transitional authority as his country wrestles with growing anarchy. He's been stuck in Puerto Rico, unable to return. U.S. officials say he's welcome to remain on U.S. soil if he wishes. Mr. Henry has held the unelected role since the assassination in 2021 of the country's last president. Armed groups have been calling for Mr. Henry to step down, leading to widespread violence. News of his resignation came during a high-level meeting of the Caribbean community in Jamaica.
We are pleased to announce the commitment to a transitional governance arrangement, which paves the way for a peaceful transition of power, continuity of governance, an action plan for near-term security, and the road to free and fair elections. It further seeks to assure that Haiti will be governed by the rule of law. This commitment reflects hard compromises among a diverse coalition of actors who have put their country above all differences. To that end, we acknowledge the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry.
That was the president of Guyana there. Speaking at the CARICOM talks in Jamaica, the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, announced a multi-million-dollar aid package for Haiti.
What we've seen in recent days, again, should remind us that the already challenging and difficult security situation has now deteriorated even further and makes the multinational support mission even more important than ever. The United Nations Security Council has reaffirmed that and reaffirmed a collective commitment to deploy it as quickly as possible. Given this increasingly urgent need, I'm announcing today that the United States Department of Defense is doubling its approved support for the mission from $100 million to $200 million. And that brings the total U.S. support to $300 million for this effort. I'm also announcing additional humanitarian assistance for the people of Haiti, $33 million to further support their health and food security. Now, all of us know that only the Haitian people can, only the Haitian people should determine their own future.
Antony Blinken there. Well, a short while ago I spoke to Dr. Christopher Sabatini, Senior Fellow for Latin America at the International Affairs think tank Chatham House.
It'll be difficult, Tanya. Right now you're looking at gangs that control almost all of Port-au-Prince. They control most of the major routes outside Port-au-Prince, which will make delivering humanitarian assistance almost impossible. Already, about 60% of humanitarian assistance that had been delivered to Haitians in the interior of the country was controlled by the gangs, was delivered by the gangs, seized and then delivered. And in this case, too, you've got a unified group of gangs that are threatening to topple the government. They've attacked the airport. They prevented Henry from landing. They had attacked police stations, the Interior Ministry, and even thrown Molotov cocktails at the presidential palace. So they have to establish some control even before they can begin to create this transitional council and deliver humanitarian assistance.
The origins of this problem obviously go back a long way, but we could trace it back in part to the earthquake in 2010, couldn't we?
Yes, we could. At that time, there was a UN mission in Haiti. And about 96 of the UN peacekeepers that were there were killed, and more than 200,000 Haitians were killed. And the country never rebuilt. It had already been devastated in terms of just political dysfunction, corruption, and violence. And then the earthquake, really the country never recovered. And as a result, a few years later, the UN mission also left. And since then, it's been left to pretty much just twist in the wind on its own internationally, unfortunately.
And what do you make of regional efforts to try to establish a political future there? Antony Blinken, on the one hand, saying that Haiti has to establish its own path forward, but the regional efforts are very much at brokering something, aren't they?
That's right, Tanya, although quite frankly, this is too little and too late. In October last year, the UN agreed to some form of a multilateral commitment and security force in the country. The previous president, Morissette, had already been killed. They had an interim government under Henry. It was clear the gangs were gaining an upper hand. And at the time, they only committed troops from Kenya, West African countries, and the Caribbean countries, not sufficient, not battle-tested, not ready to take over the very difficult task of governing a country that was already in the throes of civil war. It was nice that the CARICOM stepped up yesterday, did call for and get the resignation of Ariel Henry, but even the commitments by Tony Blinken yesterday now of a total 333 million are not going to be sufficient. You need a real active security force to be able to govern the country, and you need to have the US, Canada, the EU, maybe even the UK involved in it. Quite frankly, the Caribbean soldiers and Kenyan soldiers that have been pledged are not going to be sufficient.
Political insecurity plaguing Haiti.